So good morning. Thank you for waiting around all morning for our regular Tuesday caucus to finish. So we've had our caucus meeting this morning. At the start of our caucus meeting, Dave Clendon and Kennedy Graham offered to withdraw from the caucus for the remainder of the Parliament, which of course is only a few weeks at this point. And the caucus has accepted their withdrawal. And so that's kind of effective immediately, and then we proceeded with the rest of our regular Tuesday caucus meeting. Eugenie Sage, the caucus appointed Eugenie as our chief whip for the remainder of this Parliament as well. And obviously we've got a few kind of practical matters to work through in terms of workload and portfolios and stuff like that, and we'll be doing that over the course of the next sort of couple of days.
What happened to the notice of suspension?
That's a matter for the party, and so they've got to go through that process. So this was to do with their participation in the caucus for the remainder of the Parliament.
But when you're going to suspend them, move to suspend it from the caucus, or was that all about the
party? Well, actually, it never got to that point because they offered to withdraw.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what discussion was had about the leadership and the support for Meteria as caucus, and that's to both of you?
Well, actually, there wasn't a discussion around that because there's no discussion to have. So we had a discussion about Dave and Kennedy's withdrawal and what the events of yesterday. We had a kind of a round of discussion around that and then moved on.
Meteria, what is your response to the concerns raised by these two MPs?
I'm really sad that they felt they had to take this action. They believed it was necessary for them. I believe it is necessary for my party and for the people I represent for me to stay on as the co-leader of the Green Party. I have the backing of my caucus. I have the backing of my party because we have a big fight on our hands. We need to clean up our rivers, we need to end poverty, and we need climate action, and that is what my job is, and that is what I'm going to do.
Do the actions cast any doubt at all on the credibility of you as leader and support among the caucus or the party?
No, I don't think it does. I understand that they feel they've taken a principled stand according to their own beliefs, and they're entitled to do that, absolutely. And I'm doing the same thing. I want to have a conversation in this country about poverty. I have opened up that conversation and I'm calling on New Zealanders to support compassionate welfare. That is my job. That is what I'm here to do, and so I need to continue with that work.
You accepted this being for the party though. This whole thing has been very damaging.
Oh, it's been extremely unpleasant for us all, and particularly for Dave and Kennedy, who will no longer be Green MPs after the election. And we are all really sad about that. I've worked with them now for nearly 9 years. But we all make decisions that are according to our own integrity and the work that we're doing. The Green Party itself is committed to action on climate change, to cleaning up our rivers and to ending poverty. And that is what we will be campaigning on over this election.
Are you worried that any more information is going to come out about your time during the 1990s or any other things because there is that scrutiny that you've acknowledged now in your life?
No, I'm not. There have been some quite wild accusations over the last few weeks. No, there will no doubt be more of those wild accusations. But I'm really clear. I know what I did wrong. I've talked to New Zealanders about that and explained why. I've never asked them to agree with what I did. I asked them to understand what poverty looks like for beneficiaries in this country, and they are responding to that call.
The tipping point for the two MPs was when they believed that you were condoning the breaking of the law by people on a benefit. What is your stand on that, and are you actively saying to people that is something you condone?
What I've said is I will not condemn people who have had to do the same thing I did. And that's because I can't possibly condemn them and accept my own history. I want to change the system so that nobody ever has to lie to win. And we do that by making sure they have adequate benefits where they can pay their rent, put food on the table for their kids, that they are treated with respect and dignity. That is the point. But we have a welfare system that drives people to make bad choices. I cannot possibly condemn those people for making those choices.
Condoning breaking the law from a member of Parliament?
It's me saying I'm not in a position to judge. Actually, there are the judgmental and there are the judged. I stand with the judged. I have been so myself. I want life to be much better for all of those families who live in poverty. I have the plan, we have the plan, that will bring those families out of poverty. That is what I'm campaigning on for this election.
Do you think this whole saga is going to hurt you?
I think the polls are always fickle, right? And so there'll be bounces around, especially with the next one because it's been quite a tumultuous time. But the most important poll is always September. It's the election day poll. And we will be campaigning over the next 6 weeks as hard as we can on climate change, on cleaning up rivers and on ending poverty.
Has it hurt your relationship with Labour as well? And they don't really...
I think they're a bit busy with their own stuff at the moment, and we really celebrate that they are doing well and they're feeling really buoyant. And we look forward to being in government with them after September.
Are you upset to see those two men that you have worked with for 9
Yeah.
years? Are you upset to see them leave over
Yeah,
you did?
I'm upset to see them leave, but I accept that they have to make the decision that's best for themselves. I wish that they were able to choose another path and stay with us and campaign and work with us. They've made a great contribution to the Greens over many years, but they've made their decision and I can't stop them from doing that.
How has a party that has had a reputation of being one of the most disciplined in Parliament come to this pass?
Oh, I think we are actually very disciplined, to be frank. This
Well,
doesn't
you
happen.
minus
Although
two
this doesn't happen very often, as you know. We have had MPs leave in the past in mid-term for various reasons, and now it's happening just before an election campaign. It's not ideal, but MPs in our caucus have free will. They are entitled to make decisions that they think best suit them. I know that it was difficult for Dave and for Kennedy to make the decision that they have. I support their right to their own principles and to make a decision based on that.
Were you aware of their concerns before you went public in your speech?
No, I was not.
Is there anything that would make you step down as co-leader before the election? Is there anything?
No, I think that right now we need to be focused on the election, on our campaign priorities, climate action, ending poverty, cleaning up rivers, on building a fantastic momentum and movement for those issues across the country, and we are doing that. So as far as I can see, we're on track to actually improve our vote at the next election, and that's what we intend to do.
If the next poll shows a disastrous result for the Greens, like say below 8% or something like that, would you stand down in that situation?
No. So I'm committed to stay until at least until the election, because we have a really important job to do, and we are all committed to that job. I know that I have the support of my party, and I know I have the support of my caucus, and so I will continue until the election day.
But do you have
After the election, I mean,
Sorry?
you keep committing to staying until the election. Are you going to leave
I've
the
always
day
said that every time we've had an election as co-leader, I've always said that I would look and talk to my party about what they want to do next. After the election, I expect that we will be negotiating with Labour around government and supporting a fantastic team of new MPs in our caucus. So I will have a lot of work to do and deal with my future later.
So there won't be leadership discussions on September 24?
No, there won't be.
But do you have the support of the Green Party? Because our poll showed that more than half of Green voters think what you did was wrong.
So I've never asked people to accept what I did was right. But that is not the same thing as saying that the Green Party doesn't support, because actually we have asked the party. Yes, the party does support me. There will be many people who will disagree with what I did, but they still support me as leader and the Green Party and our campaign. And I also have the support of my caucus.
You talked about wild accusations, and look, I acknowledge these.
I'm not
I
going to go into
acknowledge
it.
these are personal questions,
Yeah.
but this is something that people are now actively saying, and there are two things in particular. Was that the first one? You didn't declare the name of the father, and therefore he was not bound for child support, and also questions
That's not how
about
it
whether
works.
you were really in poverty.
Right.
And I'm just putting
Yeah,
this
I
to
know.
you as, you know.
And so on the first question, that's actually a different issue. That's around Section 70A, which we intend to get rid of when we're in government. And I don't know how to answer that second question. You know, this is the thing. There will be wild accusations made by people who oppose the Greens and oppose our plan to clean up rivers and take action on climate change and end poverty. We will have to deal with those opponents, but they are opponents to our overall kaupapa, and they're just using me as a target.
With respect, I don't think the opponents are attacking your plan to clean up rivers. I think they're attacking you.
No, I think I would suggest that they are opposed to our plan, our kaupapa as a Green Party, that they want to see us fail at the election, and they are using me as a target. And I understand that that's the game that some people want to play, but we have a much bigger kaupapa to carry through. We need to take action on climate change. We need to clean up rivers. We need to end poverty. We can do those things when we are in government after the next election with Labor and with others.
So did the concerns of Blake and Kennedy make you consider it all resigning?
No. I take my advice from my whole team, including from the party. Neither my whole caucus nor the party want me to resign, so I won't be going anywhere.
And can I just check about, you did talk last night obviously about expelling them. What's going to happen in terms of the membership of the party now? Are you just happy now that you've got the solution that they're withdrawing?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And so we've got to treat their choice with dignity as well. And so the party, that's a party conversation, and they've got to go through their own process. But I'm pretty satisfied with where we've got to.
So are you happy for them to remain in the party from here on in?
Yes, I am.
So are we talking to the executive about expulsion then?
If they raise it, I would recommend that they not be.
What do you make of some of the comments?
Sorry.
What do you make of some of the comments that came from party executives on Twitter to the media last night that basically were kind of trashing?
Yeah,
your two
look, I
MPs?
was appalled by that. It was really inappropriate, and I understand. People are emotional and they're angry, and there've been a lot of people are putting in a lot of hours and a lot of effort into the campaign, and so there's a reaction there, right? And that's really where that was coming from. Some of the people who have made those kinds of comments have apologised for that, recognising that they kind of spoken in the heat of the moment. What I've said is I'll do the talking on this one, thanks very much. So that was inappropriate. And I really want to encourage all of our members and supporters all over the country to actually live up to the Green Party's values and our culture, or our organisational culture, as we kind of go through this, because it is incredibly important that we uphold human dignity. I mean, it's one of our central values, and we just need to do that.
I suppose, does it show the personal, and the tough part of this in terms of dealing with colleagues, having all of this, obviously blow up, and then having to deal with the aftermath and what you characterise as personal attacks?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is the heat of an election campaign. There's a lot of cameras around at the moment, so people are feeling the pressure. And of course, for a lot of us, this is kind of right towards the end of a campaign. A lot of people have put in a lot of effort already. They're feeling tired. They're really looking forward to election night and to the party. And so to have something like this kind of occur, they feel like it's a distraction, and they kind of they get a bit upset about that. And that's entirely understandable. It's just a human reaction. It is what it is.
And Meteria, in terms of your personal response and your resilience, your ability to wear this, how are you? How have you responded to
it has been really tough. Having my family paraded in the media has been really tough, but we are all tough enough because we have a campaign to run and we have a kaupapa to promote, and I get, for every negative message I might get, I get 10 saying, stay, keep on it, your story is my story. I get requests for help constantly from people who are in desperate poverty, desperate housing situations. They are why I'm here, and I will continue to defend and protect and speak out for all of those people who are suffering in this country. That's my job, and I'll keep on doing it.
What changed from last night, James, when you talked about expelling them, to today saying they're just going to withdraw it?
I got some sleep. James.
So were you angry last night and frustrated?
Yeah, of course. I mean I meant what I said last night. I did think that the way that they had gone about their decision to pull out was incredibly disruptive, and it didn't live up to our normal kind of values and processes. In the end, they withdrew from caucus. We had a really rich and deep conversation this morning, and I'm pretty satisfied with where we got to. Sorry, say that again. Yes, I do. Yes, in fact, we all do. That was part of the conversation that we had this morning in our caucus meeting. We felt that we got to a good point of resolution, and so we're pretty happy with that.
Do you want them to stay, Meteria? Are you happy for them to stay?
I'm disappointed in what they've done, but if they stay committed to the kaupapa of the Greens, of course.
On that kaupapa,
They've had. I guess they've had. Dave and Kennedy have put in years of service, Dave especially as a party organiser as well as a Member of Parliament. They have enormous expertise in the areas and have been really committed. If we can not lose that to the party, that would be great. In my view, they didn't follow the right process in deciding to leave, and I think that was quite hurtful. But nonetheless, we've resolved that. We have a plan for what happens next, and it's up to them to decide whether they want to stay as members or not.
Sorry, James.
People who are attacking you, Meteria.
James, continue.
Meteria, are people who are attacking you over this issue attacking the Greens co-vote?
I think that the degree of attack and interrogation and intrusion, particularly from some outside of the media actually, is about attacking the Green Party's kaupapa to clean up our environment and to end child poverty. And I think they are using me as a target, and I understand that that is the game that politics can be. But the important issues for us is that we continue to campaign on those issues that are important to us and to our supporters and our voters, because those are the most important issues to New Zealanders: cleaning up the river, getting action on climate change, and ending poverty. That's what we're all about.
So do you believe any criticism of your actions from the time is valid?
Oh, I certainly accept that people don't agree with what I did, and that's why I've never asked them to do so. But I think that there has been quite a high level of intrusion into my private life, and that has been difficult. I think that we have to be very careful that this doesn't turn into a witch hunt. And I know that there has been some investigation, I understand that. But there is a point at which really I and we will just focus on the issues at hand, which are matter to New Zealanders. And it's not about me, it's about ending poverty and cleaning up rivers and taking action on climate change.
Haven't you brought this
interrogation on yourself?
I definitely opened up my story, and that did mean that there would be some interrogation of it. I think it's gotten a little out of control, to be honest, and I think that my family didn't deserve the kind of exposure that they've had. I might, but not them. But nonetheless, it is what it is. We are at this point now, and I think that my job now is to focus on the issues and to make sure that we are talking about what poverty really means for the thousands and thousands of people who are telling their stories about their own hardship, their own homelessness, their own poverty, and make sure we change the system so we fix it for them.
Were you naive in not foreseeing that it could come to this?
I certainly knew that there would be some investigation, but I didn't expect my family to be targeted like they were. To be frank.
You know, there's a party who's friendly in the House, pretty united. You had a situation where you had two MPs for Greens, and you used words like feeling betrayed last night. How much damage is this done to the Green Party brand?
Look, I've said on the morning shows this morning, political parties have their moments, right? Have their difficult moments, and we'll get through this one. As I said, the caucus conversation that we had this morning, I really feel like we've got to a position of resolution, and that is because we actually did, in that conversation, live up to our kind of values and our principles in that conversation, and we all did, including David and Kennedy. And so, for me, the matter is resolved.
National Union still attack the left as being a shambles. Don't you think you've just handed them?
I think that National will attack the left as being a shambles no matter what happens. I mean, it's just their standard attack line. I mean, the fact is that over the course of the last 18 months, Labor and the Greens have worked very well together through the Memorandum of Understanding to change the government. We've coordinated at a much higher level than we ever have in previous times. We've been through some really good times. We've had some difficult times in that relationship. But National's just going to keep on doing what it's doing because they've got their attack lines. They've got their political consultants who trot out those things, and like we said the other day, they've swapped out last election's ad for rowers for runners. So they don't have a lot of imagination with their attack lines, to tell you the truth.
So did your family know?
Will David and Kennedy be speaking? Will they be allowed to talk about caucus meeting?
So they've agreed not to. They're still members of Parliament, right? So they'll still be speaking in the House on bills that they're responsible for, and that. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? Is that we've said, look, The co-leaders are the primary spokespeople for the Green Party, not just the caucus, but actually the wider party as well. And so, about this, we are the people who are going to be speaking about this, and that they have agreed to that.
Given they said that there were things said about them by Green Party officials that were completely untrue, having some sort of a confidentiality agreement where you're not giving them the opportunity to say their side of the story, that's just muzzling them.
No, we've actually said, look, if that happens again, they will come to me. I'll try and resolve that, and they do have the right to respond. But what we want to do is make sure that we've got a really good process where, because like we said, this is the heat of an election campaign. Mistakes will happen. We just want to make sure that we have the opportunity to clean that up before, it kind of gets out of hand.
Do you stand by the comments from the General Manager about taking their work ethic?
No.
No, they worked really hard.
And she has withdrawn those and apologised.
So were they asked to stand aside before the election, before this all, were they asked to withdraw from this?
Not to my knowledge, no.
You'd have to talk to the party about that.
Yeah.
Tini, can I just ask, your family, did they know that you were going to tell your story?
Yeah.
Did all of the people involved know that you were going to
They knew. I mean, it's always difficult with something like this. They knew, the caucus knew, the party knew. I couldn't proceed with it without it. They were of course worried about my welfare, actually, not theirs. But they felt it was a really important story to tell in order to crack open the discussion on poverty. So, I understand the risk that I took. I still don't believe that my family deserved the kind of scrutiny that they got. But nevertheless, we have opened the conversation about poverty in this country, and it's been worth it. They still think it's worth it. The party still thinks that it's worth it. So do I.
Do you believe you deserve the scrutiny that you've received?
Well, I think I expected some, absolutely. And that's what you get when you're a member of Parliament trying to do this. We are challenging the very basis of the punitive punishment-focused welfare system that has been in place for nearly 30 years. So, of course, we can expect that there will be significant challenge to that and that it will get personal. But the whole point of making that challenge was to expose how awful it is. So the kinds of questions that have been asked of me are questions that are asked of beneficiaries every day. Every cent that you spend, every minute of your day, every decision you make is open to scrutiny when you're a beneficiary if you are to continue to get your benefit. And so the scrutiny I have been under is the scrutiny they are under every day, and we have exposed that. People don't like it. They think that it's unnecessarily punitive, and I agree with them, and I'm calling on them to help us to change it.
Are you confident that the caucus now is united behind you, and also
Absolutely.
not just the caucus, but the other people on the list who may come in now? Are they happy with this?
Yes.
No one else is going to withdraw?
We're not, no.
Did you think that
My understanding from the party that we have that assurance, yeah.
Did you think on Friday that you had the full support of caucus though? Isn't that what you said?
Yes, and I wish.
Confident now.
Well,
that you do?
I'm as confident now as I can be. Everybody has said that they fully support me to remain as co-leader. The party, we've checked with the party and they agree, and so I am here to help alongside James and the rest of our caucus to lead this campaign for clean rivers, climate change and ending poverty.
What about those people on the list though who are likely to come in? Have you spoken to them, or has anyone spoken to them?
I haven't spoken to them, but I understand the party has, and that they are confident both with the campaign and with me as their co-leader.
We're pretty excited about getting you in.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing.
Yeah, that's our job.
Kennedy and David both said that it wasn't your initial admission that they were concerned about. It was what rolled out over Thursday, Friday last week.
Well, they've said a different thing to me, so but that's okay. I mean, they have concerns. Kennedy had concerns from the start. They've had concerns. Those concerns have been expressed, and action has been taken. I mean, this is, they've done what they think was right. I can't really answer anymore for their views.
Couldn't you have been more transparent from the start?
Well, if I'd remembered about some of it, I would have been able to say. But this is just the thing. When you open your life to scrutiny like this, of course there's going to be things that come out. And, I knew that too. I didn't expect my family to be quite as exposed as they were, but there you go. This is the nature of it. This is actually the nature of what life is like for beneficiaries, actually. All of this stuff.
Do you take full responsibility
For what?
For bringing the conversation forward and the scrutiny you faced?
I take full responsibility for opening the conversation. I accepted that there would be some scrutiny. and I take the consequences of that. But I do think that my family didn't need to bear the consequences that they've had to as a result.
James, you said this morning that you and Meteria had a discussion about a co-leader not becoming a minister. You also said that Meteria would have been a minister. So did you not want to be a minister in the next government?
No,
Was that your intention?
no. It was a conversation that has been around for many years. As we go into government, and I wasn't in Parliament, obviously before 2014. But I remember caucus discussions then about what is the best model for us entering government. And one of the options was actually to have a co-leader who sat outside of cabinet, who didn't have ministerial roles, who was able to focus on the backbenches and on the party organisation and so on, because of course ministers themselves are so caught up in being ministers. And so that was a model that we'd actually examined before. We dispensed with it until Friday, and now we're back on with that plan.
Jacinda said this morning that she was quite firm that she hadn't personally spoken to you, and the only reason that you guys had this conversation was because you and Grant were at the same event. Are they ditching you?
No, we haven't had a conversation. Yeah, she's correct about that. Yeah.
Should you have?
Thanks, everybody.
Penny, just taking out the bets. I just need to get some food desperately.
Yep. I'll give